Welcome everyone to another episode of Traders Talk podcast, where we sit down with some of the best funded traders, non-funded traders, people in the industry, so we can, hear their story, hear their struggle, and use that as fuel for our own fire. Today's guest, man, if you at any point have searched prop firms on YouTube, I'm pretty sure you know who this is. We have Blake Olson. He's pretty famous on YouTube, man. Thank you for taking out the time and coming on, Blake, today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Like I said, majority of the people that, I usually do a little bit of an intro about whoever we're doing the podcast with. I don't think you really need an intro. You've been like the review king of all the prop firms on YouTube. And I actually fully started trading in about April of 2020. And I think that's when you first did your first video as well. I didn't know about FTMO at that time, but I think started watching your videos in August maybe of that year. I think like 2000 or something, I don't know, around that subscribers. So interesting journey to see you come pretty far, man. So yeah, clearly, everybody's seen kind of your journey, everything you've been involved with on YouTube, which is really cool. I appreciate it. Everyone appreciates some of the info that you've brought us, some amazing interviews, and some crazy interviews, some crazy stuff, has happened with the prop firm industry. But just, to start off with, like, for the people that don't know you, that don't follow you on Instagram, I will link everything for Blake below. But what were you, so I guess, like, how long ago did you start trading, and what were you doing before you started trading? Like, what was life like then before?
Sure. So I started trading while at university at Arizona State University. And that's kind of how my whole career in Forex started as well. Essentially, what happened was I got introduced to a multi-level marketing company, which I'm sure a lot of people know which one I'm talking about, even without naming it. That was not very good, but it was a really good introduction to Forex in general. So I used that as a jumping off point to learn how to actually trade on my own after that, through books, through doing courses, through other things. And then I became a mentor for another company. And this company is now gone under since I left. And then I started my own company, which is VVS Academy. And now that is my own mentorship that I teach people on, in addition to a lot of other educators as well.
Okay. So, yeah, that's funny. We just did a podcast the other day with a guest, and we did a whole thing about an MLM company. Okay. We talked about it. And then at the end of the podcast, we said, okay, at least there's one thing that's good coming out of this is it's at least introducing some people to, Forex that actually, leave the company, and then they actually, like for you, if you had never been introduced, maybe you never would have gotten into trading. So was this in university, that some, like another student, like, kind of approached you type of thing?
Yeah, he brought me to this event, and it was at this penthouse, and it was so cool. And I got to meet he was like the head trader of the whole program, and I basically got to be underneath this guy. I would be skipping classes. I would be going right after classes, a little before classes, to hang out with this guy, spending so much time with him, because I just essentially idolized him in my mind as being the best trader ever, because this company basically said he was. And he really is a good trader. I'm not trying to say he wasn't, but it was really a little over idolized, essentially. And so I wanted to spend as much time as possible with this guy instead of focusing too much on school.
Right. Okay. And then eventually, I'm assuming you realized, okay, I'm not really learning much here in terms of trading. So then you must have obviously skipped, or left the company, or whatever you did. What was kind of like your learning process with trading? Was it like fairly quick, or did you like take a while to like kind of adjust to everything?
I would say one of the biggest jumps one of the biggest jumps that I had was basically going from learning from other people to doing my own research, and then eventually teaching others. And honestly, the last step of teaching others was really the big jump that I had. And by teaching, exactly what you're missing, because people ask questions, and sometimes you think, I'm not quite sure how to answer that question. So then I do even more research into things that I never would have thought about, and that helps my own trading ability.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Just even with my mentorship, there's sometimes it makes me question, like, whoa, I never thought of that. Because some of the students, they're especially people who are new and hungry, they're really going after, like, they want all the answers, and they're doing a good job. Especially, I don't know about you, but for me, like, eventually, like, I think the hunger kind of dies down for the learning process. because trading becomes very stale at one point. You know, it used to be like super exciting, and then it goes to like, you know, it's not as exciting anymore. So another question that I ask, you know, and I've asked this to like a lot of traders. Like I had 18 from Desire to trade on. You know, it's almost like I feel like a lot of new traders struggle for a long time, and they're like, how come this person is profitable in 1 year and I'm not, right? And I always say, like, I feel like everybody has their own timeline of, do you think there was a like you can say like, okay, it took me exactly 2 years and 3 months. Like, was there a timeline? Do you think it was your first profitable month, and then from there on things kind of sailed to the right side?
Honestly, there wasn't an immediate black and white. Before this date, I was bad, but after this date, then I was good. It definitely was not like that. It was definitely a process throughout. And then eventually it came to the point where I had a massive withdrawal with FTMO. I made a little under a 30% gain on a funded account.
Right.
And that video also really blew up my YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of transitioned into prop firms because of that. Once I got into the prop firm space, that's kind of when I got really good at trading, because then I had the structure behind prop firms to back on.
Yeah. To go off that point, actually, one of the biggest benefits that I got from trading prop firms all last year, I traded, you know, FTMO, my Forex funds, funding talent, a lot of them last year. Well, yeah, one of the things that I tell the students was one of the benefits I got from prop firms is it made me more disciplined. Whereas on my personal account, sometimes I risk too much, but you know, with prop, it's that daily drawdown limit, and like if you hit that, it's done. So it definitely does make you a much more disciplined trader, and we're going to talk a little bit more about prop firms in a second. So what is your trading style? I've seen you use Elliott waves. I believe you teach smart money concepts. What do you mainly trade? Like, do you use indicators, things like that?
Basically no indicators at all. It's all, I don't pay attention to any news whatsoever.
Okay.
If you get really into the trenches of Elliott wave, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say that you don't need fundamental analysis if you have at least Elliott wave technical analysis, but I'm sure there's other technical analysis you can substitute that
Right.
for as well. Smart money is an extremely profitable trading strategy as well. If you combine the two, you also add in some Wyckoff, then you have an extremely potent mix that will be extremely beneficial to traders. That's why my academy, my mentorship focuses on those three particular strategies.
Awesome. Oh wow, cool, awesome. So then, yeah, I saw your first video, in April. So you got funded with the 200,000 right away with FTMO, and then you had a whole bunch of interviews with all these companies. So, what was your prop firm journey like? Are you still funded with different companies, or do you kind of stick with one company now?
Yeah, so now that I am on both sides of the prop firm industry, it's really
Right.
interesting because I also own prop firm, the fund and trader. I
Right.
have partial ownership in that, less than half, but I also am still taking challenges for other prop firms. So it's really interesting to see the whole dynamic.
Right.
I really like the structure and the reliability of some of the older ones. So I'm not so into these newer ones that are popping up. I tend to stick with my Forex funds was one of my last ones. I made a whole
Right.
video on that. And then also FTMO, even though it's really overpriced, it is still very reliable.
Right.
So I like that one, and I love being able to use CTrader as well.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's before we do that transition over to I really want to get your thoughts about the whole prop firm industry, and I think everybody would love to hear that because we have you with us. Before we do that, what is one piece of like core advice that you would give to somebody, like somebody reaches out to you and they're like, I'm stuck, I'm not profitable, or I've been trading for 2 years and I'm break even. Like they just, you know what I mean? Like a little glimpse of hope. Like what would you advise somebody? Okay, take these steps, or at least start with this.
Well, first of all, if you're break even, unfortunately, that means that you're way ahead of most traders. So that's unfortunate, but in some ways, it's also really good. It's good for you because that means that you're on the right track. If you're already a break even trader, that's not a beginner trader. That's an already intermediate trader. Most traders lose money. So if you're a break even trader, good job for that, honestly. Now you just have to refine your skills, basically. And one of the best ways to do that is obviously to join a mentorship, a course, something like that, and join in with the community and get advice from other people. But you can also, if you want to do your own route, you can learn how to code and specifically try to code your strategy. And that way you'll know the exact parameters and the exact ways you can optimize your strategy to turn it into a break-even strategy, into a profitable strategy.
Okay. When you say code, like you mean like literally code the strategy?
Like learn C#, learn MQL 4.5 and go into it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that advice. So, Okay, so let's talk. We'll talk about a couple of other prop firms now. The funded trader. Do you want to just tell us a little bit more about that? Kind of what the what people can expect. Why we should choose that over some of the other prop firms. Just a little bit more information. There was actually one rule that I was a little confused about. Maybe we can talk about that as well. The 10 trading days. Maybe we can clarify that. So do you want to just talk about a little bit more about that program?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. So basically, the Fun and Trader is a project that I started with a couple of my buddies, and
Mhm.
we're all they're also traders as well, not just my buddies, but they are my
Yeah.
friends as well. And basically, one of the main benefits of the Fun and Trader over other prop firms is, especially for the price, you are getting so much value because it is a 12% max total loss, whereas
Okay.
the industry standard is 10%, and then
Right.
the daily max loss is 6% instead of 5, which I know sounds like only 1%, but that's really a huge difference, and
Right.
that's one of the main things people cite when they experience why they like the fund trader so much.
Okay, yeah, because that it can actually make a pretty big difference, especially on verification where a lot of people stumble. Yeah, for sure, it can make a difference. Now, when I was on the website, it was a couple of months ago. It wasn't recently, but I saw that one of your rules is, do you actually have to trade the full 10 days? Like, let's say you finish the amount in 6 days. Is there a rule that I have to trade the remaining for it? Not 0.01 lot, but actually have to put a certain amount of lots on there?
So that's actually an old rule. We actually don't have that rule currently. It's a lower number now, and that number is being whittled down. It keeps going lower and lower and lower. I believe it's 5 right now, and then it's going to keep on going down, and eventually it's going to hit 0 as time progresses. We just need to make sure that everything is in place where
Okay,
on the back end we can support that. And one of
right.
the main things is with the new broker that's coming, which should be at the beginning of next month.
Okay, cool. And then you guys have MT4, MT5, and C Trader available for people there.
I wish we had C-Trader. We
Okay,
we don't have that right now, but I really want to get it. It's just
right.
so much more difficult than I initially thought it would be to get C-Trader. But maybe with this new broker, it's a possibility. It'd be something that's way in the future. It's definitely not going to launch with C-Trader, unfortunately.
Okay. And then is everything else particular? Like, can everybody expect almost the same things? Like, you get a retake if if you're in profit. Everything else is almost the same.
Yeah, it'll be the exact same. It'll be tighter spreads. The commissions will be a little better as well. Everything will and it'll be much more realistic as well to the real markets,
Okay.
which is also going to be a huge benefit for both sides, both the learning aspect and also for us if we find a good trader for actually copying those trades, essentially.
Okay, cool. So now, man, you've done, Blake, you've done so many, you've covered so many prop firms in the last 2 years, and it's because there's so many out there now. I mean, every day a student or somebody will send me a new one, and it just looks so, like, I don't know, looks tempting. Okay, why don't I do this challenge? But so out of all the ones you've done, instead of besides FTMO, yours and my Forex funds, what other top three do you think are worth, if somebody's looking at them and it's on their list, do you think is worth spending the money with?
Sure. I think one of the most underrated ones right now, which is very different from other traditional styles, is first of all Mint Funding, which is going to be really really good. That was started off by my buddy Anton, which is Mint FX, Mint Funding.
Yeah.
He's kind of the whole guy behind that one, and I helped him design that whole program. So
Okay. Wow.
that one is also really really good as well. It's a one phase, so it's very different than
Right.
other traditional prop firms, but it has a lot of benefits to that. And as well as I know that there's going to be some cool updates that are coming really soon. And those updates are going to fix a lot of the main problems that people have been having with that particular prop firm. That's probably the main one other than those three that we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Obviously, I am biased towards the Fund Trader. I know you said
For
besides that
sure.
one, but that is going to be when I tell
For sure.
people what is the best one, I usually tell them that one as well. But there's also a couple other good ones as well. 5%ers is an extremely old and reliable one. It's
Yes.
also a very different style. It's the kind that's it's instant funding, but then you scale it up, and there's some controversy over if it's really even better than trading a high leverage account. And in some ways it is, in some ways it's worse. It really depends on first of all your trading strategy, like how much you risk at one
Yeah.
time, and other aspects. And I've made several videos going over that already, so I won't cover that too much. And then if I had to pick one other one, it would be a hard choice for the last one. I like the Trading Capital. They have some issues as well, but I know that they're working on them. There was some sort of review issues that they had, and then also some other aspects that I didn't love about it, but I still think that they have a lot of promise.
Now, I'm sure you, since you have your own prop firm and you've interviewed a lot of people and you know all the stats. Um, Obviously, a lot of people lose challenges, right? What do you think is a correct percentage of people that are? I mean, maybe even at your firm, you would know people that are losing the challenge or they're losing the verification. Do you think it's over 80%?
In total, yes, it is a bit over 80%, and that's really, I think the main reason why this is the case is because of over leveraging and people just putting too much risk all at
Yeah.
once, and they want to risk that whole 6% or the whole 5% with other firms, and they end up failing because of that.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like typically what I mean, okay, so what I like or what I suggest to people is like, typically risk 2% per day. And if you lose that, then you just call it a day and you move on and you come back the next day so your emotions are a bit more balanced. And I think a lot of people that have messaged me, it's like they kind of go into the spiral of losing and they're so excited. Like even especially in the verification phase, people are like, oh, I'm about to get this account, and then it's a rolling ball. What is like a recommendation? Obviously people can join your academy and go more in depth and learn this from you right out. But like, is there a general rule, a general piece of advice that you could tell people on, what would be a good way of passing the challenge or at least keeping your emotions together on that part?
Yeah, and I think one of the main aspects of something that you kind of hinted at is with joining a community. Because if you have someone that's holding you accountable for your accounts,
Yeah.
it's more pressure, and some people handle pressure in different ways. But in my opinion, it really helps a lot, and it's not like a overwhelming sense of pressure. It's more of a pressure from people that want you to succeed. And so it's really uplifting. And if you share with others that you're taking a challenge, you're more likely to take it more seriously, less likely to take those over risking positions and
Yes.
forgetting to use stop losses and stuff like that you wouldn't really do if you just stuck to your trading plan.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that 100% there, because if you're just sitting by yourself alone in a room and not talking to anybody at all or telling them what you're doing, you could literally blow that account by like 2 o'clock the day you start, right? So yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. All right, let's jump into a question that somebody wanted me to ask, a suggested question. So we've seen one prop firm that you did an interview, which I guess was a scam or whatever, right?
Mhm.
I forgot the name, but the main one that really kind of hit everybody last year was a funding talent. And I thought they were really, in the start, I thought they were doing a really good job as a bit. I mean, you would know better because you're in the business. What do you think happened? Like, why do you think that happened? How did it get to that point where they had to like what happened?
So this is a pretty hot topic even still, even though the company basically went under. But basically, over a year ago, more than a year ago, I created a video titled "Top 7 Worst Prop Firms to Avoid," and
Okay.
Funding Talent was in that video. Yet people just didn't really see that video or something. It didn't do quite as well as the video made right after that, the top 7 best prop firms. But so people
Oh,
thought that Finding Talent was a really good one. And even though I had the warnings over a year ago on Finding Talent, and then I made a second video on Finding Talent shortly after that, where I kind of showed that they didn't want to pay me out because I was being
yes, I
too
saw that.
inconsistent.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that one did a lot better in terms of YouTube, in terms of reach, and basically overall it's just there's signs you can look for in a prop firm to know if they're legitimate. And in my opinion, the red flags were extremely obvious. The main reasons why I didn't make more videos than those two is because I actually did receive a cease and desist letter, which I never really talked about. And I don't want to show it or anything off right now.
Right. Of course.
I made sure that eventually I did have hinted at about that in my third Find Talent video, which I made way later after they already went
Right.
down and everything. But basically, that letter was extremely inappropriate actions from Funny Talent.
Just because you spoke about whatever you spoke about on your channel?
They didn't appreciate those two videos, the being in the top 7 worst prop firm video, and then
Did they
also me
did they
showing the
try did they try
difficulties.
reaching out to you first to like say hello? Uh,
Uh, there was some reaching out. There was some back and forth, and actually, even when I released that second video, the one my experience with Finding Talent, they did I was really excited. Like, here's my honest review. I feel like I
Yeah.
was being pretty unbiased about it. And at first, it was like, oh, cool, I'll check it out. And then they watched it, and then they got really the mood turned really sour real quick, and it became an issue of flooding comments and a whole bunch of other really not very cool things to do
Wow.
from their end.
Wow. Yeah, because you gave a pretty honest review about them not paying you out on, because back then they didn't have a challenge. They used to have the regular model. And I know like 10 people, everybody said the same thing. Okay. They would always refuse you unless you really kept a proper journal or something, and you had all this proof to show them. So it's not like you were lying or anything. You were just showing that was absolutely fine. I'm just wondering, like, and I saw the flags as well, because they were refusing to pay some people even small amounts after with the challenges. But it's almost like after August, it's like the ship just sank. Yeah, like, and I think at one point they were doing pretty good as a company, don't you think?
Yeah, no, they were definitely making millions for sure, and at least in terms of revenue. Not
Definitely.
sure about everything in
Yeah.
total, but they definitely were making quite a lot of money from my estimations at least. And unfortunately, some traders that essentially, according to their own words, deserve to make a lot of money, end up not being paid out, even some in the six-figure range of payouts. And so that was really that was really when the nail in the coffin started to break the ship, basically.
Yeah, but those people never really got paid out though, right? Those people never got paid. Like they never paid anybody six figures.
They
Um,
might have paid some people out, but there's definitely at least a handful of people that never got paid out.
Okay. Makes sense. Well, I guess that's done with. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's enough good prop firms to pick from. MFF. I'm definitely going to be doing, a look into yours as well. Looks great. I have some students actually in my mentorship that are doing your challenge. I think one of them is funded as well. So I've heard some really great things. I'm definitely going to be, letting my students know about that. I think it's best to just stay in these top 3, 4 prop firms instead of taking risks, because I see like a new prop firm popping up every day, or inboxing me or telling me to promote them and things like that. With that being said, we want to keep the podcast short. Blake, can you tell us a bit more about your academy? So, like, if anybody wants to, I'm gonna leave the descriptions in the description below, guys, so you can reach out to Blake and his VVS edu.com. But what kind of plans do you have? Like, what can traders expect if they join your academy and things like that?
Yeah, so this is definitely a high-end premium academy. It's an academy where you not only get the daily videos, excuse me, the daily live sessions. You also get the course, and you also get one-on-ones with the educators of VVS. And now the VVS is also partnered with the Fun and Trader, where you will also be able to get a new try every 30 days if you are a VVS lifetime user. And I'll make another video pretty soon to talk about this in more detail. You'll get another try to earn a challenge with the Fun and Trader. And so that's all really exciting stuff that's coming very soon.
Okay,
Actually,
awesome.
sorry, excuse me, it's already here. The video is coming soon. That's what I meant to say.
So it's a whole like video course and a mentorship. So you actually get to work with somebody to improve your trading as well. Awesome. And I believe there's 2 different plans that people can, they can do a lifetime plan or they can pay monthly. Awesome. And then do you guys have like a Discord? Like where do all the students communicate?
Yeah, so we actually have a free Discord. It is free for everyone, and then there's a separate section within the Discord for members only. So that I have a bot that is very expertly programmed, where it'll know who's a member, who's not, and it will add them into more channels essentially. And actually, those channels are much more active than the free ones, but the free ones are still worth joining, even if you are not planning on joining the mentorship.
Okay, so if somebody's like thinking about it or they haven't made that step into your academy, they can still join your free Discord.
Yes.
Awesome. And another question I have for you, Blake. A lot of my students ask, and I have referred them to some brokers, but for personal accounts, because that's something I think everyone should be working on their personal account as well. We can't just rely completely on funding for the rest of your life, right? You need to take some of those withdrawals and put them into a personal account. Do you have any like broker recommendations that you personally use or you can make to us?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is very relevant. Once you have a big gain with prop firms, you really want to spend some of that money onto your own personal account so you can grow that along with your prop firm. So it's really important, in my opinion, to have both, especially once you have some success with the prop firms. So I've actually been working on a special deal with the broker 8cap, which is an extremely amazing broker. They're very well established, they're regulated and everything. And basically, I have this new deal with a new company, which is Smart Profit FX. And this company basically will offer tighter commissions. So it'll only be $6 round trip instead of 8cap 7. And then the spreads that you get on this is an extremely amazing spreads. You can even go onto TradingView and search 8cap, and you'll see that the spreads on there are extremely good. Unfortunately, this is not going to be open for people in the US. It is going to be open for people in the pretty much the rest of the world. There's a couple other countries as well.
Is it so? Not North? Is Canada going to be on that list of not included, or?
I believe Canadians are going to be able to use this one.
Cool. Awesome. That's amazing to hear. Eventually, when it's out, provide us a link and we'll put it in the description as well. Cool. So again, guys, I will leave all the descriptions for Blake's stuff below. And with that being said, we don't want to take up too much time, so we're going to end the podcast here. Thank you so much for taking the time out, Blake, today, for joining us and for talking to us, and have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me on.